Welcome to Rapid Fire Crypto Rundown. Microsoft steps back, NASDAQ steps up. Let's break it down. We're diving into today's Milk Road newsletter.
Oh, yeah.
And it seems like everyone's got Bitcoin on the brain, but they're not all on the same page.
Yeah, it is fascinating to see this push and pull between traditional finance and crypto,
Right.
especially with giants like Microsoft and NASDAQ seemingly going in different directions.
First up, we've got Microsoft shareholders hitting the brakes on Bitcoin.
Uh-huh.
The Milk Road reports that a proposal to add Bitcoin to the company's balance sheet got voted down. What do you make of that?
Well, it's a pretty clear signal that even in the tech world where you might expect more openness to crypto, there's still a lot of hesitation.
Yeah.
Remember, Microsoft has dipped its toes into blockchain before, so this isn't a completely new concept for them.
That's true. They've explored blockchain for things like supply chain management and identity verification. So why the reluctance to embrace Bitcoin as an asset?
It probably comes down to a few things.
Okay.
Their investor base might be skittish about the volatility of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
There are also regulatory uncertainties that could be making them cautious.
Yeah.
And let's not forget the environmental concerns around Bitcoin mining, which are a big focus for many companies these days.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But then we have NASDAQ, and they're not just dipping their toes in. They're practically cannonballing into the crypto pool.
Yeah.
The Milk Road says they might include MicroStrategy in the NASDAQ 100 index.
Wow.
That's a big deal, right?
Huge.
Yeah.
The NASDAQ 100 is like the all-star team of the stock market.
Okay.
It tracks 100 of the biggest non-financial companies on the NASDAQ, and it's heavily followed by investors.
Right.
Getting included is a sign of legitimacy, and it often attracts even more investment.
Okay, for those of us who don't spend all day glued to stock tickers, remind us why this matters for Bitcoin specifically.
Well, think of MicroStrategy as this massive Bitcoin booster rocket. Their CEO, Michael Saylor, is basically Bitcoin's biggest fan. The Milk Road even calls his strategy a high-pressure hose of cash flowing into Bitcoin whenever they have extra money.
So if MicroStrategy gets into the NASDAQ 100, does that mean all these funds tracking the index are suddenly forced to buy Bitcoin?
Not directly, but it creates a powerful indirect link.
Okay.
These funds would be obligated to buy MicroStrategy shares to mirror the NASDAQ 100.
Right.
And since MicroStrategy is so heavily invested in Bitcoin, it's like a backdoor way for institutional money to flow into the crypto market.
Wow. Okay, so we've got Microsoft pumping the brakes while NASDAQ might be flooring the gas pedal. What does this tell us about the state of crypto right now?
I think it paints a picture of a market that's maturing, but still navigating a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
On one hand, you have institutional players like NASDAQ recognizing the potential of crypto and finding ways to get involved. On the other hand, you have companies like Microsoft perhaps responding to investor concerns and regulatory pressures.
Choosing to proceed with caution.
So are these two moves actually as contradictory as they seem?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's something we'll explore further in this deep dive.
Okay.
Is this a sign of a market that's becoming more mainstream with different players finding their own comfort levels and strategies?
Right.
Or are we witnessing a fundamental divide in how traditional finance views the future of crypto?
Yeah.
Only time will tell.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's almost like we're seeing two different schools of thought emerging, you know. You have the cautious camp represented by Microsoft shareholders who are prioritizing stability and minimizing risk.
Yeah.
Then you have the more adventurous camp with NASDAQ potentially paving the way for more institutional investment through MicroStrategy.
It makes you wonder if these two seemingly opposing forces are actually both contributing to crypto's evolution in their own way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think about it. Microsoft's caution might actually be a positive thing in the long run.
It highlights the need for greater regulatory clarity and more stable infrastructure for crypto to truly gain widespread adoption.
So it's like they're putting pressure on the industry to mature and become more reliable.
Right. And meanwhile, NASDAQ's potential move could be seen as a vote of confidence in Bitcoin's long-term potential.
Yeah.
They're willing to take a calculated risk, which could inspire other institutional investors to follow suit.
Okay, so let's play this out. What could be the ripple effect if MicroStrategy does get that coveted spot in the NASDAQ 100?
Well, for starters, we could see a significant injection of institutional money into Bitcoin.
Right.
Think about it. Index funds and ETFs that track the NASDAQ 100 would need to buy MicroStrategy shares to stay aligned with the index. This could lead to a surge in demand for Bitcoin, potentially driving up its price.
I'm already imagining the headlines. Bitcoin booms as NASDAQ embraces MicroStrategy. But it's not just about the price.
Right.
This could have broader implications for the entire crypto space.
Absolutely. It could legitimize crypto in the eyes of traditional investors who have been hesitant to dip their toes in.
Yeah.
We might see a wave of new investment products and services targeting institutional investors.
Okay.
And as we talked about earlier, it could push for greater regulatory clarity, which is something the entire industry needs.
It's like opening the floodgates for mainstream adoption, but with some safety measures in place thanks to the more cautious players.
That's a good way to put it. It's a delicate balance, but it seems like the crypto world is finding ways to navigate these uncharted waters.
Speaking of navigating the Milk Road, also had some other interesting tidbits in today's newsletter that I wanted to touch on.
Let's hear them. Always curious to see what else is happening in the cryptosphere.
Well, first off, Ripple's Stablecoin got the green light. The Milk Road says it's been approved for use in the U.S., which is a big win for Ripple, and could shake up the stablecoin market.
Interesting. Ripple has been fighting its own battles with regulators, so this approval is significant.
Right.
Stablecoins are becoming increasingly important in the crypto ecosystem, so this move could really boost Ripple's position in the market.
Then there's the CPI data, which came in as expected. The Milk Road pointed out that this means inflation is still a concern, which usually benefits Bitcoin as a potential hedge.
That's right. Bitcoin's often seen as a safe haven asset in times of economic uncertainty.
Yeah.
If inflation continues to be a worry, we could see more investors turning to Bitcoin as a way to protect their wealth.
And for all the gadget lovers out there, Ledger has a new hardware wallet, the Ledger Flex, which the Milk Road says is super sleek and portable.
Hardware wallets are essential for anyone serious about securing their crypto holdings.
Right.
Ledger is a trusted name in the space, so a new product from them is always worth checking out.
There's even more in the newsletter, but I want to save some surprises for our listeners.
Always good to leave them wanting more.
Exactly. But before we wrap up, I did want to mention one last thing that caught my eye in the Milk Road. They're hiring.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
What kind of positions are they looking to fill?
It sounds like they need a social media manager, which makes sense given their strong online presence. They also have 4 other open positions, so they must be growing.
That's a good sign for the Milk Road, and it could also be a positive indicator for the overall crypto industry.
Right.
Growth in key companies often reflects broader expansion in the market.
Definitely something to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. So we've covered quite a bit of ground today, from Microsoft's Bitcoin hesitancy to NASDAQ's potential crypto embrace and everything in between. What stands out to you as the most important takeaway from all of this?
It's wild, right? Like on one hand, we have Microsoft saying, whoa, slow down there. And on the other, NASDAQ is basically like full speed ahead.
Yeah, it really does feel like a pivotal moment for crypto, doesn't it?
Totally. So what advice would you give to our listeners? Many of whom are probably trying to make sense of all this and figure out what it means for their own crypto journey.
Well, I always say the most important thing is to stay informed.
Right.
Don't just follow the hype. Do your research, understand the risks.
Right.
And make decisions that align with your own financial goals and risk tolerance.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And speaking of staying informed, I have to give a shout out to the Milk Road newsletter.
Oh, yeah.
They do such a great job of breaking down complex crypto news into bite-sized pieces that are easy to understand, even if you're not a blockchain expert.
It's true. I'm a subscriber myself, and I always learn something new from their daily emails.
Right.
They manage to be informative and entertaining.
Yeah.
Which is a rare combination these days.
Exactly.
Right.
So if you want to stay ahead of the curve and get your daily dose of crypto insights, news, and even some laughs along the way,
yeah.
Make sure you subscribe to the Milk Road. You can find the link in the description below.
Definitely worth checking out.
And with that, we've reached the end of our deep dive. Thanks for joining us as we explored the contrasting approaches of Microsoft and NASDAQ and what they might signal for the future of crypto. We'll be back soon with another episode. So until then, stay curious, stay informed, and stay crypto.